long, lonesome road, going down that long, lonesome road. I'm going where the water tastes like wine. I'm going where the water tastes like wine. Going where the water tastes like wine. See you when your troubles are like mine, mine, mine. See you when your troubles are like mine. The climate suits my clothes. I'm going where the climate suits my clothes. Going where the climate suits my clothes. Pain in my heart, well, there ain't nobody knows. Pain in my heart, nobody knows. Don't blow. I'm going where the chilly winds don't blow. Going where those chilly winds don't blow. Going down that long, lonesome road. Going down that long, lonesome road. That's a way to kick off a day right there. I'm thrilled to be here representing some of the music that comes from the Appalachian region, which goes hand in hand with all the people who live here, and one of the reasons we're here today is to protect our beautiful Appalachian region. So I'm from West Virginia, and the fossil fuel extraction industry has caused, and the transportation of it has caused a lot of disasters in my home state of West Virginia, and I'm going to sing a song about the second largest coal mine disaster, the Mannington and Farmington No. 9 coal explosion in 1968. And in that coal mine, there are hundreds and hundreds of unchecked violations, and they just would not, they put the profits ahead of the human life and the cost there. So this song is about that explosion, very near from where I grew up, and is written by Keith McManus, a West Virginia fiddler. It's called Mannington No. 9. Way down in the coal mine, way down where the sun don't shine, 78 men lost their lives. Way down in the coal mine, brothers and dads went down, uncles and cousins too, never again to see the sunshine. Daddy went down to work that day, but he never came home to Mama that night. The blast was heard for miles around. Some folks say even to Morgantown. Brothers and dads went down, uncles and cousins too, never again to see the sunshine. Mothers, daughters, they wept and moaned. Fathers, brothers, they cried alone. Never again to see their loved ones from way down in the coal mine. Brothers and dads went down, uncles and cousins too, never again to see the sunshine. Way down in the coal mine, way down where the sun don't shine, 78 men lost their lives. Way down in No. 9 coal mine, brothers and dads went down, uncles and cousins too, never again to see the sunshine. Their fates were sealed, never again to yield from that tomb that was the coal mine. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Let's give it up for Rachel Eddy and the clogging attorney, Emily. You will hear from them later as well. Now I want to bring up my friend BJ. Say hey, BJ.
Hey, everybody.
Are you all ready out there? How about we talk about believing?
Yes.
We
believe.
We believe. Everybody now.
We'll win. Everybody say we.
We
we will win. Everybody say we believe, we believe.
People in the
We
back.
believe that we will win. The song just repeat itself. We believe that we will win. Oh, we believe that we will win. Everybody say we believe that we will win. Do you believe it? Say we believe. What we believe? We believe that we will win. Do you believe it? We believe that we will win. We're in this thing to win. We believe that we will win. Everybody say we. Come on. We believe that we will win.
They're starting to warm up.
Yeah. Do you believe it? We believe that we will win. Tell them why we won't give up. We believe that we will win. One more time. We believe that we will win.
Yeah! Thank you, BJ. Thank you, Rachel, for getting us started. You all ready to make some noise? Yeah, all kinds of troublemakers all along this front row right here. We want to give some shouts out to some people who helped make this possible. So make sure some big rounds of applause. How about to Kay Ferguson and Artivism? She makes so much happen. We love you, Kay. Thank you. The Interfaith Alliance for Climate Justice. I know you. Thank you for being out there. Thank you for the bail money for Emily right next to you. How about, is there anybody here from Nelson County? Friends of Nelson helping to support this. Let's give Nelson County a big round of applause. Thank you, Friends of Nelson. And also a big thank you to Falls of the James Sierra Club chapter. Thank you for helping to fund this. Let's give all of our supporters and funders a big round of applause. So we got a packed agenda today. We got all kinds of things to talk through. We got Reverend Yearwood to hear from later, Corinna Gore. We are excited. And I know Reverend Yearwood is going to be here to talk to us, bring us some a good message. Many of you were with us yesterday. Who was with us yesterday? We were marching in Richmond. We had Reverend Barber and many others. If y'all have seen the imagery coming down the Robert E. Lee Bridge, I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. So give yourselves a big round of applause if you were with us in Richmond yesterday. Stand with Union Hill. Stop the MVP. That's what we're here to do. It is clear that Virginia can do a lot more to be able to stop these pipelines, and we're here today to outline that. And we're also here today to ask Virginia, to ask our governor, to ask our attorney general to take action to protect us. You know, this goes way back. It goes way back. These are stolen lands. Here in Virginia, not only the Monacans, but the Manahoac Indians, they have sent us a message that they would like for us to hear. Unfortunately, Desiree can't be with us today, but she lives in Catawba in Roanoke County. And her children are members of the Monacan Indian Nation. They moved to this area and were raised in Amherst, Virginia, and they have a deep connection to their historic tribal homeland. So returning Southwest Virginia back to them is critical. Yes. Thank you, Bert. And thank you for everything that you do. Desiree says she has witnessed, and a lot of us have witnessed, including Bert and so many others, have witnessed firsthand what is happening with the Mountain Valley Pipeline. So we have temporarily stopped the Atlantic Coast Pipeline for now. The bad news is that parts of the Mountain Valley Pipeline are being constructed right now. We've seen the damage. We've seen through erosion and sedimentation. We know what is up. Desiree wants to tell you to please stand with the native peoples of Virginia. She wants me to convey to you, beyond environmental justice and climate justice, there have also been community safety issues. There are multiple occasions when people have potentially been hurt through this construction. Often the pipeline trucks drive well above the speed, putting even locals in danger many times. You know, she wants to make sure that we hear her story as a native Virginian, and I hope that we can share her story, share that around. She regrets that she can't be here in person, but let's not forget that. So today, we have an awesome speaker who's going to kick us off. Let's give it up for the Hip Hop Caucus. You know, there's a man who's with us today who currently runs the Hip Hop Caucus, but he has been operating at the intersection of generations, the intersection of these struggles. He wants to make sure that we empower people from all walks of life, from all ages, to try to make sure that we're fighting for our future. And it's pretty cool that we have the president of the Hip Hop Caucus, y'all. Reverend Yearwood is going to come up here and get us going. Let's give a big round of applause. You need to wake up. Wake up for Reverend Yearwood. This man has marched all across this country, came to Leesburg to help us stop the Mountain Valley Pipeline. Reverend Yearwood, we are honored to have you.
Man, thank you so much. It is an honor to be here with the amazing pipeline fighters. There's some, hold on, y'all was a little quiet on the pipeline fighters part. I know there's some, oh, okay, there you go. I was going to give a shout out to the puppet in the background and say, if y'all don't make noise, the puppet will make a little noise back there. Make it happen. It is an honor to be here this afternoon. My name is Reverend Yearwood. I am the president of the Hip Hop Caucus, which is an organization, a national organization that gets young people engaged in politics all over this country. They are amazing young people who have been folks who are down in New Orleans who've been still fighting after Katrina, to folks in New York after Superstorm Sandy, young folks like Little Miss Flint and young folks in Flint, Michigan, still fighting 5 years later to have clean water. I'm just so impressed by all of the young people who are part of the Hip Hop Caucus and now all of the young groups that are rising in this space as well. So happy to see the young folks from 0 Hour who are doing some amazing things. So happy to see the Sunrise Movement literally taking on politicians on both sides of the aisle because they understand that this is not about Democrat or Republican, but about humanity. And so I'm so happy to see young folks doing that. I'm so happy to see young folks who've been taking our country to court, literally fighting for their survival. I'm so happy to see that. So we have and see some young folks who have been striking all over this country and this world, from Greta across the pond to young folks in Virginia and DC who have been saying that enough is enough is enough is enough. And we must now fight for our generation. And so I'm excited about to see young people. I'm excited also in my role. I am on the board of the League of Conservation Voters, so I'm excited to see what LCV's been doing. I'm on the board of Chesapeake Climate Action Network, and I'm excited about CCAN. If you just don't know, CCAN actually is a great organization, and they're raising money. So if you want to win a Tesla, they actually have a Tesla for raffle at CCAN. You just go to this. Yeah, just go to CCAN, and you can. I think it's only like a couple more days left, so make sure you can get in the hunt there for that Tesla and for that raffle. But I'm also excited for many of the groups that are here. Climate Reality is one of the groups here, and seeing the ministers and the pastors who've been fighting on this issue. Beyond Extreme Energy, if you have not seen the quilt which would be Your Right, please check that out. It is important, as they've been highlighting with FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has been doing, because they are the ones who actually approved this pipeline. And it has been just a place, a revolving door for the fossil fuel energy to kind of go in there and hold things down. So please make sure you look at all of those aspects. What I wanted to say to you as we are dealing with the pipelines here in Virginia, the Atlantic Coast Pipeline and what we're here today for, the Mountain Valley Pipeline. I want to give a shout out for those who have been in Virginia, the tree sitters and toppers in that aspect. God bless you. I don't know if I could do that, actually. I don't know if I can get in a tree and do that, but if I had to, I would. But I'm so glad that you are doing that and sitting in those trees, and my good brothers and sisters in West Virginia who've been going against their own culture. That's many of my friends who've been fighting from mountaintop removal to fracking to the Mountain Valley Pipeline, who have gone against their friends and relatives who think that, man, why are you doing this? Climate change is this and climate change is that, and we need these pipelines and we need these good jobs in the coal. And they have been saying, no, that is not acceptable. We cannot stand for that. So shout out for those in West Virginia who've been standing up and fighting the good fight there as well. So what I want to say is that I know that I'm kind of speaking to the choir. I know that pretty much the group here gets it. But what I wanted to share today with you is this fight and where we are. And I wanted to come here in particular to Virginia because, as you know, I've been in many pipeline fights. I was in Standing Rock fighting the Dakota Access Pipeline fight, was there with my good friends from Naomi Klein and Bill McKibben and so many others. We fought against the Keystone XL pipeline before that, and that still ain't been built. So to those who are, this is my little tug here, for those in the Barack Obama administration who told me that pipeline is built, you're no longer in office and that pipeline is not built. So that just shows you that it's not about organized money, but about organized people, and why we must, again, center ourselves on not just permanent friends, but permanent interests. Our interest is this. They told me I have this short amount of time to speak. So I want to make sure we get this across. As I close, actually, because don't have much time to give this piece, but I want to give this. I want to come to Virginia because yesterday was the anniversary of Brown v. Board of Education. And I wanted to come to Virginia because on the 65-year anniversary of Brown v. Board of Education, in Virginia, the schools were actually shut down. There was something called massive resistance, in which people refused to have their children go to school, black children and white children going to school together. Virginia created the Great Commission, that was two. And even though the governor had called for cooler heads, the schools were shut down, not for months, but for some time, 4 years. And so as we look back upon that, and I say that there are many whose fathers and mothers and grandfathers were on that fight, and I'm not asking you to call out your family. But what I am saying, though, is that if we look back now, 65 years later, they were horribly wrong in fighting that battle. It's very obvious now, 65 years later, how wrong they were in fighting the battle to make sure that we can have white children go to this school and black children go to. It's just obvious now that we sit in this courtyard. It's hard with the Confederate shoulder in front of me, and it's difficult to, the images are still all around what we're still fighting. But regardless of that, we know now how wrong that was and how great it is for us to have come together. See us here, black, white, brown, yellow, male, female, straight, gay, atheist, theist, humans out here. We know how beautiful it is for us to come together. But this is what I wanted to close and tell you why these pipelines, why we must fight this pipeline right now, and why we must stand up, is because 65 years from now, while we can stand here and say, wow, they were so wrong to create that massive resistance and they stopped the schools in Virginia. 65 years, we don't have 65 years. That's the difference with that movement and this movement. While that movement was fighting for equality, and while we're still fighting for equality, we are now fighting for existence. And the difference now is that 65 years from now, sea levels will be rising, water will be polluted, air can't be breathed. That is the difference now, that existence is on the line. That's the difference. And so this is why our fight, our battle is so much different. We can't sit in a courtyard and say, well, you know, Grandma was wrong, or Grandpa was wrong, or Uncle Sue, Uncle Bob, Aunt Sue was wrong. No, the difference now is this, is that when you have reports coming out from the IPCC, so you only have 12 years, that was last year, when you have reports coming out that we will have 1 million species that will face extinction over the next 1,000 years, and that it was not a very long time or even shorter, when we have a situation right now when our children realize that their existence is on the line, it won't matter what school they go to. It won't matter what place they work. It won't matter what home they live in. It won't matter if they come to the back door or the front door of the courthouse. What matters now, the fight that you're doing to stop this pipeline. The Mountain Valley Pipeline is literally a battle for the existence of us now and for future generations. This is not a game. We can't sit back 65 years from now and sit back and say, oh, this was so good. So I'll stop with this. There are going to be so many great speakers who are going to come to this podium, who are going to tell you the issues why and how come. And you got to be educated and to be organized and mobilized and energized. And if I had more time, I would tell you why we need to broaden our movement and break down the silos within our movement. But I don't got time for that. But what I want to leave you with this is to remember this. The day after Brown v. Board of Education, on the 65th anniversary, we can sit in this courtyard as beautiful humans from all types of hues, all types of races, all kinds of orientations, all kinds of beliefs. And we can come in this courtyard and say, thank God for those who fought against that wrong policy. But the next generation, 65 years from now, won't have that opportunity if we sit on the sidelines. So we got to be all in, lay it all on the line. If it means we got to give it all up to stop this pipeline, stop every single pipeline, and ensure that we transition from fossil fuels to clean energy, then we must do it. All power to the people. God bless you and thank you.
Give it up for Reverend Yearwood. Thank you for that powerful sermon and prayer. We have a lot of people praying for us. We have our local pastor right here. Alice, will you please raise your hand, from the Unitarian Universalist Church here in Loudoun County. Thank you for praying for us. We have Pastor Paul all the way from Union Hill here praying for us. This story has changed. Now it's an intersectional story. It's a social justice story. It's not just about environmental justice. This is about justice for the Mountain Valley Pipeline. There's a delegate here who's with us. You know, I was the only delegate, Democrat, in all of Western Virginia for many years. You left me all alone. And then you sent me a friend to double the size of our Southwest Virginia Democratic Caucus. Give it up for my friend, Delegate Chris Hurst.
Thank you. Thank you. How we doing in Leesburg today? Can we get an amen on what the Reverend just said? How can anybody follow that, possibly? Amen. We are here in Leesburg. I represent the New River Valley, part of Blacksburg, about 40 some odd miles of where the Mountain Valley Pipeline is set to leave a scar throughout Giles and Montgomery County in the 12th District that I represent on the House of Delegates. But we are up here in Leesburg, and I'm happy to be here because we continue to spread our message far and wide outside of the district, outside of Southwest Virginia, even here in Northern Virginia, here in Leesburg here this afternoon, to say, we're not going away, are we, folks? Are we going away? Must we go away? Can we go away? Shall we go away? Could we go away? No way. And we are here to say that we are going to continue on this fight for as long as it takes. You know, I used to be a television reporter, used to sit on the sidelines and just observe and report on what was going on the field in the fray. But I can remember almost 5 years ago going up to Bottom Creek in Roanoke County, a Tier 3 protected waterway by DEQ, and interviewed a family there who said, not only is our property going to be threatened, but this pristine waterway is going to be trashed by the construction of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. And in the years since, so much advocacy and so much pressure has been leading up to many gains and many successes. Stops on work, lawsuits being filed, and yet we still need to make sure that we continue to redouble our efforts to try and stop the Mountain Valley Pipeline. It is not just about taking away people's private land for corporate greed, when it is part of the problem. It is not just because we are going to be destroying hundreds of waterways in West Virginia and Virginia to construct this pipeline to frack gas and eventually ship it overseas. It is not just because this is a titular fight of the big guy versus the little guy. And I don't know about you, but I am tired of bullies calling all of the shots in Richmond and all across Virginia, and I'm ready to see change once and for all, but we need more people in this fight. That's why we are here in Northern Virginia this afternoon. It is not just a matter of money and politics that has led us to stalemate after stalemate and impasse after impasse. It is also because of a lack of political courage and political will. And that doesn't cost a dime. All that costs is a little bit of yourself and a check of your values and your ethics and your morals and your beliefs. And everybody can look themselves in the mirror and say, there is no reason why either the Atlantic Coast Pipeline or Mountain Valley Pipeline should be constructed. There is no public necessity for them. There is no need for them. There is no use for them. And we need to still hold the feet to the fire of our regulated utilities because they may put in more renewable energy, but it needs to be part of our actual fuel portfolio and not just laid out there and not even used. We need to make sure that we go farther than just stopping these two pipelines and totally making that hard pivot. As we heard and continue to hear, we have maybe a decade, if we're lucky, to make lasting change to prevent that last degree increase on average of our seawaters. When we have children who are going up talking to elected officials who have been in politics for decades, and they are more educated and are more realizing the urgency of the problem, we know we have an issue here. What the Sunrise Movement is doing is fabulous. But how shameful is it that on this issue and on other issues, our children are the ones who are leading the efforts, and the adults and the elected officials are the ones who are following behind. That's why all it takes is political will and political courage. And you need to demand that out of elected officials like me, because I can tell you that there have been times already in my first term, Sam is a model legislator for how you stick to your morals and your ethics, no matter how hard up against the rocks you're going to get thrashed. I can tell you that I have been tested, and in some points I believe that I have failed, but I am standing here before you again to redouble my efforts and recommit to you, wanting to fight for those who have been directly and indirectly impacted by both of these pipelines. And one of those people is Jamie Hale, who lives in Giles County, is a constituent of mine and a friend, and is also someone who, when construction was going on and direct action was going on the Appalachian Trail nearby, he decided that he was going to take it upon himself to actually be able to support Nutty, who was up in that tree for so many days. Supporting that direct action effort that was going on in Giles County, Jamie made his own trail. So you have the Appalachian Trail, and then you have Jamie's trail off the AT. And he did it so that he could show support for the people who are actually putting themselves, their bodies, their spirit on the line in this fight against these two pipelines. Jamie Hale.
Hello, all my friends. Thank you. As he said, my name is Jamie Hale, and I am ground support for tree sitters. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to talk to y'all about in my 3 minutes, so I wanted to tell you about my well and my farm, and we've already suffered system failure, done $1,000 worth of damage to my well. I had to sell my cattle because of it. I have 2 dry ponds that are karst fed because of what I believe is construction by the Mountain Valley Pipeline. I don't want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about direct action. I want to talk to you about people baking bread, making muffins, living in trees, support camps. We need help. We need a lot of help. Not only from political leaders, spiritual leaders, but we need help from citizens, people who are willing to walk in the mountains, people who are really ready to do something besides Facebook, besides like. We need people that want to get out and show their support in actions and not just words. We need deeds. It's been over a year. I've seen every kind of law enforcement action. I have seen attack dogs. I have seen people arrested for no reasons. I have seen people threatened, detained. Enough's enough. If I have to bake 100 loaves of bread, I already have. I'll bake another 100. But we need help. We need help from Northern Virginia, from Eastern Virginia. We need everybody. We need West Virginians. So support Appalachians Against the Pipelines. They are your direct action. Please support Appalachians Against the Pipelines. Thank you.
All right, let's welcome BJ and Ron up. We're going to have some song. Let's make sure we give Jamie a big round of applause for sharing his truth with us today. While they're getting set up, how many of you here are here in support of the Sunrise Movement? How many of you here are part of any kind of preserve like Preserve Bent Mountain? How many of you here are fighting this struggle and stand with Union Hill? Show that energy, make some love. How many people are with the Women's Summit Network Nova? What are the organizations? Name them. How many people support West Virginia's freedom? Freedom to have clean water and clean land. How many people support a Green New Deal in Virginia? Give it up for energy. Energy from BJ and Duran.
am proud to be a part of the Sun Sing collection. It's good to know you sing with the purpose. And I just want to encourage everybody out here today to hold on, because we will win, which means we know everything will be all right. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on a little while longer. You just hold on just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. Do you believe it? Resist on just a little while longer. Defend on a little while longer. You resist on just a little while longer. 'Cause everything will be all right. We will march on just a little while longer. We will march on a little while longer. We will march on. Will you march on? A little while longer. Everything will be all right. You just hold on. Don't give up. Just a little while longer. Hold on a little while longer. You just hold on. We will not give up. Just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. We will win. So I will not give up. I will not give in, because I know a change is gonna come. When Sam Cooke sung it back then, we know he meant it with the conviction. And when I sing it today, I mean we will win. So we will not give up. I was born by a river in a little tent. Oh, and like that river ride, been running ever since. Been a long, long time coming. But I know, do you believe? I know. Change is gonna come. It's been too hard living. I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. Been a long, long, long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. So I go to my brother.
My brother.
Brother, will you help me, please?
Would you help me, please?
Just like Northam, you wind up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there were times I thought I wouldn't last too long. But now I know I'm able to carry on. Been a long time coming, but we know and we gotta believe. Everybody say a change gonna come. Change is gonna come. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, BJ. BJ and Duran actually come all the way down from Southwest Virginia. They came up here to loosen up all you suburban stiffs here in Northern Virginia. I think that y'all are starting to warm up, aren't you? Well, we're here to talk about action that Virginia can take, and Virginia's top attorney is our Attorney General. Well, we've got attorneys too, don't we? If you're an attorney, raise your hand. We have a lot of great attorneys who have been helping us every step of the way, and we're very, very fortunate to be joined by one today. Emily Hammond is a Glenn Earl Weston Research Professor at George Washington University Law School. She's a former environmental engineer and is now a nationally recognized expert. Emily's going to come up here and talk to us specifically about action items that we can take, because we know that Virginia can stop these pipelines. Please give it up for one of our awesome attorneys, Emily Hammond. Oh. Were y'all here for the performance earlier? Yeah, our dancing and clogging. I mean, Emily can do it all. Let's give it up for Emily Hammond.
Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for being here today. I speak as an Appalachian in Northern Virginia. I grew up in what is now the pipeline's path, and it is my love for that natural world that led me to environmental law. When I teach my law students, we start with the values, the ideals of law. Law is supposed to value the voices of those impacted by the energy industry. It is supposed to value our natural world. It is supposed to protect us against arbitrary decisions by the government. The Mountain Valley Pipeline reveals the deep flaws in our legal system. I'll tell you about a few of those before I talk about what we can do. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, permitted this project even though the need for it was manufactured by MVP's own affiliate. FERC allowed construction to go forward even when requests for rehearing were pending. FERC staff reversed the agency's own stop work order after adverse court rulings. FERC has failed to halt construction, even though we now know that there are deep flaws in the analysis done for the Endangered Species Act. We'll hear a bit more about that in just a moment. FERC has also failed to halt construction despite that the Army Corps of Engineers has suspended construction in streams and wetlands after yet another adverse court ruling. Here in Virginia, we have more to expose. The Clean Water Act gives this state the power to halt that construction. The board let it go forward by issuing what's called a Section 401 water quality certification. But now, the board is failing to enforce that certification. We have hundreds of documented legal violations that are going unenforced. Worst of all is the board's closed-door decision not to consider revoking state certification. It is revocable, and the board already promised it would consider doing just that. The good news is that our legal system counts on more than just these federal agencies. I'll name two other components that fill the gaps. The first one is what we call civil society. That's everyone here. That's everyone who refuses to be silent in the face of injustice. And I want to particularly acknowledge the people who are not here today because they are sitting in trees. They are locked to equipment. And they are being supported by people like Jamie. There is a second component of our legal system that brings us here today, and that's our elected officials. And I'd like to thank our delegates who are here and supporting this cause. What else can be done? This is where we get to Attorney General Mark Herring. In the state's lawsuit against the MVP, what we need is an injunction against further work. Our Attorney General should push the DEQ, the Water Control Board, to protect our environment by issuing a stop work order and pursuing revocation of the state water quality certification. And by the way, what else does it need to stop? The compressor station at Union Hill. Attorney General Mark Herring, we need you. Protect Appalachia, protect the rule of law. It's now my honor to introduce the next speaker, Tammy Belinsky. There's Tammy, here she is. Yes, indeed. Tammy practices law from inside the blast zone near the Blue Ridge Parkway. For years, she has been advising the resistance and representing the Wilderness Society, Preserve Craig, Save Monroe, in the permitting processes, including those successful lawsuits that I mentioned that should have stopped the pipeline. Please help me welcome Tammy Belinsky.
Thank you, you guys. I've got some notes here. I'm a lawyer. If you let me talk, I'll talk forever, so forgive the notes. About 2 weeks ago, the chief judge of the federal district court in Roanoke told me that all he knows about the Mountain Valley Pipeline is what he reads in the newspaper. But that his impression of the legal process is that it is a mess. Those are his words, not mine. And it's an accurate assessment. That's why we need lawmakers like Sam Rasoul and Chris Hurst and the other politicians who are here today who will work to change the laws that have allowed FERC to operate recklessly. The Mountain Valley Pipeline is a reckless pipeline. It is scandalous, scandalous. The latest issue in the legal mess is revealed in a bombshell letter that shows that the project is in violation of the Endangered Species Act. The letter from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service asks for information that should have been asked and answered before consideration of the certificate to operate was granted by FERC. And it's not just a technical violation. The letter includes evidence that harm has likely already been caused to the Roanoke log perch, a fish whose survival has been in recovery for 30 years. And we know it. Anybody who's seen the damage on the North Fork of the Roanoke River knows of the harm to the Roanoke log perch. The letter from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service should be recognized as an admission of the federal government's incompetence to regulate in the public interest.
And corruption.
Nevertheless, to be in compliance with the law, FERC must stop work and reinitiate the formal consultation process with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. There are some postcards on the table, on the Sierra Club table. There are some here on the power table. We're collecting them. Please sign the 3 postcards on the table before you leave today. The Commonwealth must ask FERC to stop work. The Commonwealth has authority and jurisdiction under our own endangered species laws that they are ignoring. And our representatives in the Virginia General Assembly must ask FERC to stop work and reinitiate formal consultation. Sam, we'd like to know if you will work with your colleagues to work towards this U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issue and ask FERC to stop work. Will you work with your delegation to send letters to FERC?
I'm proud to work with Chris Hurd and Delegate Ibrahim to send those letters.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here today. We're not giving up. We're not going anywhere.
All right, you heard it. So there are going to be some people, and they're going to say, Virginia can't do anything. These pipelines are a done deal. What do we say to that? There are very specific points. Here they are. Specifically, what Virginia can do to stop the pipelines right now. Between our governor, the DEQ, and our attorney general, we can stop those pipelines. How many of you can sign your name? Raise your hand. Here are those postcards that they're talking about. All you do is sign your name, and these puppies are off. They're even going to pay for postage. Right over here, raise your hand. The Power Coalition. Thank you. Now, I have a message from a former member of the Air Pollution Control Board. This is a board tasked with protecting our air. In order to be able to build that compressor station, they needed to get a permit, and this permit had to go through the Air Board. And here is a person who's been removed from the Air Board because of her concerns. Rebecca Rubin was removed from the Air Pollution Control Board after she questioned the need for Dominion's pipeline. How many of you are questioning the need for Dominion and Mountain Valley Pipeline today?
Everybody is.
She was not able to join us, but she sent this. We've been lied to. We've been brushed aside, but you all know that already. What you may not know is that the positive difference you are making every day, all the time. As an Air Board member, I felt alone at times in my views. But then, seeing all of you there at critical Air Board member meetings, in person, showing resistance, some of you showing resistance in different ways, a couple of you getting arrested. The truth is out for all of you. While work on the MVP must stop. How many of you are in favor of stopping work on the MVP? You must move forward with confidence with your plans to block the tremendous harm to wildlife, ecology, homes, farms, and ecosystems at large. That will be done by the Mountain Valley and Atlantic Coast Pipeline. If there needs to be an MVP, let it be you, the most valuable persons. Shine your light on the pathway that we all may follow. Message from Rebecca Rubin, person who was removed from the Air Board, trying to protect us. I hate bullies. Chris said he hates bullies. Mark Keem is here. He said he hates bullies. Delegate Ibrahim hates bullies. We are ready to step up. Are you all ready? Our next invited speaker comes all the way from Elliston. Anybody ever been through Elliston? You all need to know about Elliston because who knows what's happening in Elliston right now? There are tree sitters who've been up there for like 9-10 months, 200 and something days. Our next invited speaker, Crystal, lives in Elliston, near the route of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. She's a single mom who struggled. Come on up. The family. How are you?
Doing good.
Let's give it up for this family who's here to join us and tell us what they have seen firsthand and the injustices that are happening right now. Please introduce yourselves and then let them know what we can be doing to stop this pipeline.
Okay, so my mom was not able to make it because she was she went to the tree sit and went up a tree. She'd been training. So I came here to talk for my mom, for her. My name is Braylon Mello. Up in a tree. At the Yellowfin site. I think we should. I'm just gonna let you go.
I want to say that Crystal came up to my farm. My name's Neil LaFerrier. A lot of you folks know me from my Facebook posts. And we are fighting a direct fight with Mountain Valley Pipeline at our doorsteps. We have been assaulted. My children have been hit with pellets. And Crystal is standing up, not only for my children, but for your children. And all of us need to be willing to take that stand. If you're not willing to take that stand, you're not in this fight. Whether you're out monitoring these pipelines that Governor Northam, Governor Justice said that were the most scrutinized projects ever, but then failed to provide the oversight to make sure that they were installed safely. When we have one inspector for the entire southern half of West Virginia, they call that scrutinized. We need your help. We need more people on the ground. We need more people standing up for the future, for our children, for our grandchildren. Take a stand, guys.
Let's give it up for Braylon and let's give it up for the whole family. Crystal has a message. I'm a cleaning lady. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a professor, but I know what does not make sense. Thank you for being here. Next, we've got some spoken word from my dear friend, the leader of the resistance, a woman who I can never please, but I'm working on it. You strive for perfection knowing I'm never gonna get there, but we love all of your energy. Mara, come on up and give them some word.
Crystal Mello has always had my back, and I do my best to have her back too. And I'd like to dedicate this to everybody who's had my back for the last 5 years. Thank you. Expiration date. I was broke. You sent a leftover gift card to Target saying, spend it soon. It's a new moon, so exhale. Lose the lack and seek the stars, darling. I've got your back, and the universe is closer than so far away. What if we call those stars ours and hold them close as truth? What if we are ruthless about our rivers, collaborate with our mountains, stand with those who stand? We live in the middle of what we thought was an unsolvable riddle, but it actually has an answer that we ask each time we take a drink of water. What if the task is to bring those stars closer? What if the most important thing we could do is to see each other through, to get beyond the me and you, the us and them, treating each other and our planet as beloved community, reaching through isolation into unity? We've got bones and stones and the roof of the roots under our feet, and you never know who you'll meet when you're open, when your heart starts to grow along with each blade of grass you pass and the streams become your dreams of how you'll flow. You'll know then, I swear, when the very air becomes a prayer that seeps into your being. Then you'll be seeing how our subdivided lives go by in vehicular constriction, ash splashed upside the kindness that we will still fold golden into this dirt that holds us, this ocean that molds us, salt and skin, and that effortless best we provide when we do not hide what we come to from within. And this is how we'll win. When we cease to seek ourselves as competition, instead a sweet rendition of mending this beating muscle, not the hustle of more at the core of everything we do, but the reconciliation of what feeds us coming through. These stars, this sun that rising every morning could be a comfort, not a warning of the warming. There is no turning back. And yet, if we don't learn the lack of ground to stand on, we'll never land in the kind of sound that could surround us with belonging and choosing not to use all the wrongs that we thought were the songs we were supposed to be singing. A new tune is ringing through. This is the sound of your blood in the sewers of the flooded cities, your breath in what's left of the ozone, your home in the scope of the rifle aimed at the hope you hold in your toes, ready to leave footprints upon everything that grows. If we can simply break apart what holds our hearts away from each other. So before it expired, I brandished that plastic in the name of end-stage capitalism, colonizing the aisles of Target with my coffee-stained t-shirt and my fears. We don't have years anymore. We've got lists and fingers and a shore that's both sinking and rising. We've got tides and timing. We're climbing into trees to see them through because we do what we can do. We must do whatever we can do and lose what we were supposed to do or have to do or are required to do as if it is behind us. Remind our closest star in trust that this planet is us. Make a date with your extinction so that when Mars rises on the horizon, when Venus springs into light, when mighty Jupiter climbs the walls of sky, we could remind them why. We have no more time for anything but the way in which we shine. Thank you.
Give it up again for Mara. Josh is coming up here to play for us to get us going. But let's make sure we recognize all of the musicians in the crowd. Raise your hand. We've got Josh and BJ and many others. Make sure you're supporting our musicians, the ones that have been here Let's make sure that we're able to support all of our artists because they are part. Look at all of this beautiful work. This beautiful work. There's a quilt of resistance in the back to symbolize people who spent days and days and days fasting in front of FERC to get them to pay attention. We salute you. Thank you for everybody who's resisting out there in different ways. Now Josh is gonna bring it home.
Hey y'all, how you doing out there? My name is Joshua Vanna. I'm from Rockingham County, right outside of Harrisonburg in the Shenandoah Valley. Any lovers of the Shenandoah Valley out there? I know all you Nova people like to come down on the weekend. And, you know, history repeats itself, y'all. And, you know, as a musician, just kind of notice songs that have been around for a long time that keep helping us tell our story, and they get more and more real and more powerful as time goes on. So I like to look back on those songs now and again and think about what's changed, what hasn't, what's remained the same. And I like to play this old song called Mother Earth by this guy, Memphis Slim. And it was written almost 70 years ago, and it's like an anthem for today. And I think if you listen to the lyrics, you can probably think of one or two people maybe in Washington over there that like to send them out to. But it's about, there's an equalizer, and our equalizer now is becoming extinction as we pointed to now. So song is called Mother Earth. You may not have me all the time, you may never go my way. Mother Earth is waiting for you, that's a jet you got to play. I don't care how great you are, I don't care what you were. When it all ends up, you got to go back to Mother Earth. You may own half a city, some diamonds and some pearls. By that airplane, babe, you can fly around the world. I don't care how great you are, I don't care what you were. When it all ends up, you got to go back to Mother Earth. You may play to race horses, you may even own a racetrack. Have that kind of money, babe, to buy anything you like. I don't care how great you are, I don't care what you were. When it all ends up, you got to go back to Mother Earth. When it all ends up, you got to go back to Mother Earth. All right, has everybody picked up some of these? Are you looking at what I'm holding here? Don't go home without these. Don't go home without maybe a few for your friends. You can get them sent off here at the power tent, protecting our water heritage rights. And why do we send these things? Why do we send these things? That political will that Chris Hurst was talking about a second ago, it doesn't happen by magic. It doesn't happen by people just being like, decent. You have to create pressure. We have to remind these people that they need to do their damn jobs. All right? So are we going to make them do their jobs? Are we going to make Mark Herring, Attorney General, supposed champion of social justice, we're going to make him do his job? I think he's reemerging. Are we going to make Senator Tim Kaine do his job? Are we going to make Matt Strickler, Secretary of Natural Resources for Virginia, do his job? I think we ought to, right? I think they've been skipping out. I think it was skipping out of the office early. Probably going out to the Shenandoah Valley to have a good time. All right? So let's make our honorable representatives do their jobs. All right, we got a few on our side, all right? We got Sam, we got Chris Hurst, we got some people in the audience that they're on the level, right? I'm gonna sing another quick song for you. This is a song by Sarah Lynch. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more fires burning, they will find their way to me. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. There are more mountains falling, they will find their way to me. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know.
I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will wade through the waters till they find their way to me. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains till they find their way to me. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
Thanks for being here, y'all. Also wanted to say, once again, don't forget these. Be back up in a minute.
All right, let's give it up for Josh. From the State House to the courthouse, they're hearing our music, they're hearing our voices. Oh, you guys can do better than that. We don't want no pipelines. No stinking pipelines. So we have the pleasure of being able to hear from this next person. So I was at an event, and somebody introduced me to this guy named Albert Gore III. And he said, we started talking, he's like, we're pushing against these pipelines in Virginia. He's like, oh, you gotta meet my sister. She's getting arrested for pipelines. I said, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. He introduced me to his sister, Corinna Gore. And let me tell you, from that moment, Corinna's like, you need to come down to Greensboro and hear Reverend Barber, hear Al Gore. We are going to make a movement out of this. We then kept in touch. She came to Northern Virginia. We've done events. And Corinna and many others played a strong role in bringing the Reverend Al Barber and Al Gore, Reverend William Barber and Al Gore, to Union Hill. We brought the fight to Union Hill. And we packed the house, didn't we? It was awesome. One of the fiercest pipeline fighters out there. Corinna is fighting them on so many different fronts. You need to follow her on Twitter so you can see all of the fights that she's taken up. We are so honored that she cares so deeply about the injustice that is happening, but not only the injustice around the climate crisis, but how people are being railroaded, people are being attacked. This is not just environmental injustice. This is an economic and social injustice. Ladies and gentlemen, please wake up. Please give it up for my dear friend, an awesome fighter, a person who's going to help us stop these pipelines, Corinna Gore.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for inviting me here. Thank you for making me more aware of the dynamics here. Thank you also to Emily Satterwhite, everyone in this community who invited me to come and speak. Thank you to all the organizers. Thank you to the musicians. This is a beautiful, beautiful gathering. I'm really honored to stand with you. I want to introduce myself by saying that my ancestors on both sides, my mother's and father's side, came from Northern Europe. They ended up living in the mid-southeast region in Kentucky and Tennessee and Virginia. I want to acknowledge the original peoples of this land, the native peoples, the Monacan, and others. I also want to acknowledge with respect the African American people and culture to whom this nation is indebted in so many ways. And I want to say to each and every person, including those who came from other backgrounds and other walks of life and are here together, that we should all take a moment and think about our ancestors. Think about, is this the back thing happening? Okay. Hi. Think about our ancestors as we think about our future generations. We all stand here representing so much more than just our individual selves. Let's identify with those in our ancestors who were the healers, who were the truth tellers, who were the peace builders. Let's bring them in here as we do what we need to do in this very extraordinary time. Epic course correction time. I want to say that actually it's my mother's family from Virginia, so I also stand here thinking about Mother Earth, thinking about my maternal line, lifting up that whole source of nurture and that those people, those many, many people in movements past who haven't always been as acknowledged as leaders. In thinking about that maternal line, I lift up all those women who are here in the movement, all the men too, all the non-binary people. This is real strength coming together. And yesterday in Richmond was really exciting and really beautiful. We stood together. We stood with the people of Union Hill to say we are all Union Hill. We will not tolerate a fracked gas compressor station in this historically African American community. And we also stood together to say we see through this. The Atlantic Coast Pipeline, the Mountain Pipeline, all these fracked gas pipelines, it's all connected to the same wrong-headed thinking. And you remember that cartoon from 1754 that said, "Join or die," with the serpent and the different sections of what were then the colonies of the United States. Well, they're trying to segment these pipelines. They're trying to confuse us with these processes, but we see the big picture. And we are joining, and we are surviving. I want to say thank you to all the other powerful speakers here before me. Reverend Yearwood I last saw in Standing Rock. Really respect his work. How wonderful to see him there and get a chance to talk to him next right here in Leesburg at this gathering, which takes that spirit to protect our air and our land and our water. The truth is, and also I want to say just to all these activists, I have so much respect for this community here. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for sitting in trees. Thank you for all the different ways. And there are different callings in this time. There are so many ways to step up and fight these pipelines. And I myself, having participated in nonviolent civil disobedience action, know how that can feel when people say, isn't that extreme, isn't that radical? And what the truth is, what is extreme and what is insane is to pretend that nothing is wrong right now. To stand by and just let this trajectory unfold of more and more fossil fuels being dug up and burned when we know exactly what is at stake. So thank you to these courageous activists who are here. We're here very specifically, on the one hand, to call on Attorney General Mark Herring to stop the Mountain Valley Pipeline. And we know he has what it takes. We're also here to call on other people to come off the sidelines and to join. And it doesn't matter that it's not a crowd of 200,000 people, because the strongest movements in the history of this country have been with really committed, visionary people who come together. It's that measures the strength. And I look out on this crowd and I see the best of America and what it takes to really change and to have progress, not pipelines. The truth is that these pipelines are not needed. They are the product of this wrong-headed thinking that puts profits, short-term corporate profits, over people, community, and planet. And notice I say short-term. Long-term, all wealth derives from the biosphere. This is insane, even for those who are thinking they're making money off of it. So we call on you to step and think long-term. We have been tricked into this illusion that what matters is monetary gains in a short window of time. There are all kinds of metrics that they show us, the stock market figures on the news, and all kinds of metrics that they show us to trick people into giving up the things of most value in this life: clean air, clean water, culture, community, and to allow them to be eaten up by this machine. And the people here are saying, no, there's something more important. We're standing for our land, our air, our water. So, what are the costs? The costs that are not being measured. One, local damage and destruction to our air and water. And we know that Attorney General Herring is aware of some of these. He has brought suit, right? For how many? 300. More than 300 violations. So we know that awareness. We know that the lawyer for the people of Virginia is aware of those things. And that is just the start of it. We have heard from people here. There are people who have been told they're trespassing on their own land to stand up for the future of all humanity, as well as the health of this local community. So the local damage and destruction to air and water is one cost not being measured. The second is the health of the planet's atmosphere. So we know there have been these studies recently released. There are 97% or more of the world's leading scientists are telling us it's time to recognize the emergency of the climate crisis. This atmosphere, as we look up, is a thin shell. We've seen the photo of the planet Earth from outer space. This atmosphere is loaded up and full of carbon dioxide and methane. We know that we have to urgently stop putting more up there. And yet, there is this fallacy about natural gas. There are those people that say, along with a very well-planned PR campaign that has turned into a misinformation campaign, that this is a perfectly fine source of energy, that you can be for fighting the climate crisis and for expansion of fracked gas infrastructure. That is not true. The people, we are asking people who haven't even thought yet about climate change at all to look at the science and to hear those voices that have been following this. We need to do the same thing in the Democratic Party. Among people who want to lead on climate change, need to take a look at that science about methane emissions. It's very serious to do that. It's a difficult course correction, but we're in a reckoning. This fracked gas infrastructure build-out is happening all over. I'm from New York, so we've fought lots of pipelines there. And it's really hard, and it's up against the same thing. So the cost not being measured, damage to local ecosystems. Second, the health of the planet's atmosphere. Third, the opportunity to invest in clean, renewable energy. There's an opportunity cost to taking this road. We need to recognize that's a cost. This comes at the expense of a new direction, which creates jobs. We know we have solar and wind technology. The battery storage is getting cheaper and easier and more accessible. So let's recognize that as an opportunity cost. And fourth, the principles of self-government and democracy. That is a cost that's not being measured by going ahead with this pipeline. And it was, after all, a Virginian in 1776 that wrote about self-evident truths, that wrote about us all being created equal, that wrote that of nature and nature's God, that we're endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Water is life. Air is life. And living in balance and harmony with the earth and in a community and culture that has integrity is happiness. So you are here, and we are all here in a time where we need to go back to our first principles. The writer James Baldwin said to do your first works over. At this time in this country, if you look around and see what's happening in the federal government, if you see what's happening with the fraying of our social fabrics, if you see what's happening with the role that big multinational corporations with shareholders and owners, and maybe not even from this country, and we need to revisit those first principles. And this is about that. The abuses of power that were cited in that declaration in 1776 were about a distant colonial power insulting a local community wanting to self-govern. It is not that different than what we're up against now. So I want to say that we are actually in this time reforging those most basic principles of self-government. And there have been people throughout history, as we know, who have fought to bring us into alignment. And they include Frederick Douglass, Ida B. Wells, Mother Jones, Frances Perkins, Septima Clark, Rachel Carson. These are the people and many more who fought hard to make sure that we lived up to those principles. Now it is our time. It is on us. And we have to look at what's happened. We have to look at the coalitions that we're bringing together and what the implications are about our task ahead. One thing is to reckon with a couple of things that happened in the Industrial Revolution. And just to touch briefly on two things that I think are really important here. One is this way of thinking of externalities, that when you pollute, when you deplete resources and when you pollute and put toxins and chemicals into the air and into the water, it's part of a business plan. You don't have to count it. That type of externalities. Have you heard people say government should run more like a business? Well, if what they mean by that is to take that way of thinking that puts externalities of everything that we value and hold in common good, clean air and clean water, no wonder we're in this situation. Government should be fighting for people, should be standing up for the public. And the people that were correcting course against that new reality of the Industrial Revolution, fought hard to get the Clean Air Act, fought to get the Clean Water Act. Those are things that we cannot take for granted. We must demand proper enforcement of the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act to protect the people of Virginia. And then corporate rights is the other thing that has gone so far wrong in this direction. And we know founding fathers and mothers and others that warned us against this. And it's what has happened. And so there are corporate rights against community rights that are coming in, the kind of abuse of power that would come and take people's land for corporate profits, that would disband things like or dismiss members of bodies of public servants like the Air Pollution Control Board. These are major abuses of power that we will not tolerate. And it's important to remember that what is happening is slow violence. Coretta Scott King and others have talked about this. So in asking all of us, and especially those in elected office and those in positions of decision-making in the corporate world, because it is this corporate government alliance that we're up against. We need to ask for long-term thinking, not just short-term thinking, and we need to, Ida B. Wells said the way to right wrongs is to shine the light of truth upon them. And the truth is that when you put poisons into the air and the water, the same activities on the ground, burning fossil fuels that contribute to global climate change, also hurt people's health. And it is a form of violence. It makes people sick. And we know the depletion of our forests, of our beautiful rural areas. This affects people's mental, spiritual, emotional health, as well as your physical health. We will stand against this violence. No MVP. And so just in closing, I want to say that taking a step back at this moment in time where we've seen these urgent reports, they recently said 1 million species are at risk of extinction right now. On our watch, we know that that's happening. We know that we have about a decade to correct course before we have runaway climate change. And make no mistake, even though it's difficult to talk about and think about, we're talking about ecological collapse for real, that we are responsible, all of us, for averting. And so what I know and think and feel is that we will change course. We will radically change course. The whole world is working on this. But the question is, how much damage will we do before that happens? And there is no way that the people of Virginia, the people living in these beautiful rural areas, the people living in Union Hill, should have to give up their land, their air, their water, their stewardship of their local ecosystems as part of damage for something that we know as a whole we are on the road to correct. And so my hope for the future, really, is that these people, the people that are going to stand up for the earth, are speaking for the earth, are those that are rooted locally in their own ecosystems. And that's where we're going to find the solution. And so I want to say that, first of all, Attorney General Mark Herring, I'm going to write to you personally. I really hope you'll do the right thing. I really hope that you'll take visionary leadership. Now is the time. It's an extraordinary opportunity. We need to halt work on this Mountain Valley Pipeline. We're going to go to FERC. We're going to talk to all the feds. We're going to keep working on all these different angles. But let's not be confused. Because in New York this happens, everywhere this happens. First, people might say, I don't know that it's such a bad thing. Maybe this pipeline is a good idea. Then they say, it's a bad idea, but there's nothing we can do about it. And then they say, you know what, you're right, there is something we can do. And that's the stage we're in now. Stop MVP, stop ACP, join or die, climate justice now. Thank you so much.
Corinna Gore, everybody.
These poisonous gases will be released into the atmosphere, and our quaint little community will not be fit for humans or animals. We live in an agricultural area where we raise crops, cattle, dairy cows, donkeys, goats, chickens, and so on. That is until Dominion convinced the Board of Supervisors they wanted a special permit to change the zoning. Is this legal? This is still an agriculture area, not for Dominion, who said we would be able to tap into this natural gas. How many people believe that? No. Not true. This gas will be fracked, like I said, which will emit unsafe gases, poisons, polluting this most precious air that we breathe. Okay. Our agricultural lands will be destroyed in the path of these monsters and this beautiful scenery that attracts many people, including my relatives and friends from California. it will be in jeopardy. So I'm running out of time here. My husband and I, we want to live out our golden years here in this beautiful, serene area where we can sit outside and breathe in the clean air and be able to look up at the dark sky at night and see the beautiful stars that the Lord has provided for us to look at, as well as a beautiful moon. God put us here to be good stewards of this beautiful land. We are to take care of it, not pollute it. I will leave you with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "Never, never be afraid to do what's right, especially if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way." At my home church, Union Grove Baptist Church, we have a banner, and behind that banner it says, "Stand up for what is right, even if you're standing alone." And I just want to say one more thing. God takes you out of your comfort zone. And I'm glad that he did take us out of our comfort zone, because I would not have met so many beautiful and wonderful people that have come to the aid of us in the Union Hill community. God bless you. Thank you.
Amen. Hold on. Thank you. I'm just glad to be here. I'm Pastor Paul, Union Hill Church Community, Union Grove Missionary Baptist Church. MVP folk, we just want to let you know that we stand with you. You all have been with us so many times, and we're in complete support. The last thing is I'm getting ready to exit with Sister Laurie. Think about what your grandchildren and great-grandchildren might say to you one day. "Grandpa, Grandma, what did you do to stop the pollution? What did you do that we might have clean drinking water and clean air?" And I want to be able in my old age to sit back and say, I did everything that I could to do what was right. And that's what we're doing today, doing what is right. God bless, and we're here for you.
Fighting for our history. We're fighting for our history. We shall not be moved. We're writing our own history. Fighting our own history. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Shall not be moved. Well, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. One more time together. Well, we shall not. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved.
And just as we're planted like a tree by the water, we shall not be moved. The reason we can't move is because we need clean water. Because water is life. And without water, we will not exist. That's not something that we purchased, it was given. This next song, Sun Sing Collection will share. I wrote it because water is life. So join in with us, clap your hand, dance, grab somebody. I don't know what you're going to do, but spread the word that water is. Water is. Water is. Water is. Water is. And as we're celebrating, knowing that water is life, you see that puppet over there? She's dancing because water is.
Just turn it up a little bit here. We want Mark Herring to hear us, right? We want Matt Strickler all the way down to Richmond to hear us, right? We want Ralph Northam to hear us. I think he's heard us a few times. All right.
Chaos and havoc, water's ruin. Clean it up, clean it up, clean it up, clean it up. The pipeline set us up for a fatal catastrophe. We're taken to the streets, begging to stop this, please. Pipeline compared to lifeline, no comparisons indeed. Pipeline compared to lifeline, all because of corporate greed. Water is life, clean water. Water is life, a human right. Water is life, we can't drink money. Water is life, clean water. Water is life, a human right. Water is life, we can't drink money. Indigenous tribes standing tall. My brothers, my sisters, we won't fall. We're in this together till the end. So we keep moving forward because we will win. Check again. Indigenous tribes standing tall. My brothers, my sisters, we won't fall. We're in this together till the end. So we keep moving forward because we will win. So what are we gonna do? Clean it up. 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 Oh, water is life, clean water. Water is life, a human right. Water is life, we can't drink money. Water is life, clean water. Water is life, a human right. Water is life, we can't drink money. Water is life, clean water. Water is life, a human right. Water is life, we can't drink money. Water is life, clean water. Water is life, a human right. Water is life, we can't drink money. We gonna stay right there. Water is life. Come on, let me hear you. Water is life. Why we standing today? Water is life. Do you hear us? Water is life. Yeah, water is life. Come on, come on, water is life. Come on, come on, water is life. Come on, water is life. The pipeline set us up for a fatal catastrophe. We're taken to the streets, begging to stop this, please. 'Cause water is life.